Today I have had the incredible opportunity to play an incredibly rare percussion instrument. I found this instrument through a company in San Francisco called California Percussion, and I have been able to hang out with the owner, whose name is Trey. He's a very, very awesome person. He's very kind. He let me take a tour of the store on my own and play around with the instruments, and then we came here to see this, so we brought it in from the other shop, and this is a Schiedmayer Celesta. Now, it may look like a piano from the outside. In fact, the keys are very much like a piano, but when you take a look at the inside and you notice that it's very small and it only has one pedal, you immediately know something's a little off about this instrument. So in case you don't know what a Celesta is, especially if you're from the United States, Celestas are very rare here in the States. They're rare in general. A Celesta is an instrument that's very much like a piano, but instead of having strings, it has metal bars that create the sound, and so therefore, instead of sounding like a piano, it sounds like this. And it's an incredibly beautiful instrument. I think this is the most beautiful instrument I have ever played in my life. It's so amazing. The Celesta began its life in 1886. That's when it was invented by a man in Paris named Auguste Mustel, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. He was actually a builder of harmoniums, which are similar to organs, and his father actually was the inventor of the predecessor to the Celesta, which used tuning forks for resonators instead of metal bars. So basically, Auguste Mustel invented the Celesta in 1886, and he went on to form his own company called Mustel and Company. The Celesta is probably most famous for its use in Tchaikovsky's work, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. That's probably the most famous Celesta piece, and Tchaikovsky was one of the first composers to use the Celesta in his works. He was not the first, but he was one of the first and arguably the most famous. He discovered the Celesta one day and was just absolutely, from what I've heard, he was amazed at the sound, the angelic voice of the Celesta, and he wanted to make a song that really brought out those qualities of the Celesta, the really magical qualities. And in fact, the name Celesta comes from the French word Celeste, which means heavenly. It's a very fitting name for this absolutely beautiful instrument. Over the past, there have been about 5 different Celesta companies. There was Mustel. Another popular one was Genko. They're famous for the Celeste, which is a little tabletop Celeste. I saw a Reddit post a while back of someone who found one for $30 at a thrift store. And it's kind of like a Celesta. I think it's only about 3 octaves. And you just set it on a table, and it's about the size of an accordion. And it apparently sounds somewhat similar, although not as beautiful as a Celesta. There have also been other Celesta companies from New York and Europe, like England and stuff. But today, there's only one true Celesta manufacturer, and that would be Schiedmayer. Yamaha also makes an instrument called the keyboard Glock. However, if you go to their website, they state Celestas and keyboard Glocks. I'm actually going to be able to see a Yamaha keyboard Glock here today as well, which is going to be amazing. I will have a comparison video out for that as well, a comparison between the keyboard Glock and the Schiedmayer. But from what I understand, the keyboard Glockenspiel has metal hammers, whereas the Celesta has felt hammers, and I've heard it's also an octave higher, which is going to be very interesting to see, and it has a much brighter, louder sound. The Celesta is very gentle, it's very calm, it's very soothing, it's amazing. So I'm going to play a few pieces on it, and hopefully you enjoy.